One of the objections I sometimes hear from my atheist friends goes like this. We atheists, they say, just believe in one God less than Christians. I mean, after all, you Christians don't believe in Zeus, or Wotan, or Thor, or the flying spaghetti monster, whereas we atheists, we reject all the same gods that you do, but we just go one God further and throw Yahweh out as well. What's the problem with the one God less argument? Well, a few things. Problem number one is we can immediately see something is fishy about it when we put it into another context. Suppose one of my unmarried friends comes to me and says, you know, Andy, you're a bachelor just like I am. It's simply that I'm married to one less woman than you. I'd go, there's something wrong with that statement. It immediately smells a little bit odd. The other problem, of course, with the statement one God less is it assumes that all of those other gods are equal. It assumes that we can put Zeus and Wotan and Thor and the flying spaghetti monster and Yahweh into the same sentence and it makes some kind of sense. But it neglects something. When you actually look at Greco-Roman mythology, you discover that gods like Thor and Zeus and all of that other pantheon of Greek and Roman gods are very much created entities. They're supernatural beings, yes, but they very much exist within the created order. And of course the flying spaghetti monster, if such a noodly appendaged creature really existed, we could presumably study his pastory ways using science. The God of the Bible, on the other hand, Yahweh, is not a creature within creation. He is the very author of creation. He is the one who upholds and created and sustains the whole of the universe. He is the one who called every particle into existence, who sustains it, the one who wrote the laws of physics, the one who, if he didn't exist, nothing at all would exist. And thus comparing him with those other gods isn't so much like comparing apples and oranges, so much as comparing oranges and the laws of geometry. It's a complete category mistake. Further problem with the one God less argument, it assumes that Christians have arbitrarily just come along and randomly picked a God to believe in, and they could equally have randomly picked something else, or if they were consistent, they'd throw the whole basket load of gods out the window. But that's not how we behave in life when there are competing explanations on offer. For example, suppose the police are faced with a crime and they have 10 possible suspects, and one by one they eliminate all of those suspects until the guilty party remains, and that guilty party is then put on trial. Imagine that the suspect to whom the evidence has pointed stood there in the court before the judge, and he were to look at the judge and say, Your Honour, this is completely unfair, it's completely arbitrary. The police have rejected 9 other suspects. Your Honour, I encourage you to go one suspect more and let me go as well. What would the judge say? Well, I suspect the judge would look at that man and say, Sir, it's not that we have randomly picked somebody, it's that you are where the evidence is pointing. The reason that we believe in Yahweh and not those other gods is the evidence for who he is and what he's done in history is overwhelming. And that leads us to one last point that is so important here. Many atheists I speak to, many skeptics and agnostics I speak to, I think they sometimes think that the different religions of the world are really mankind's best guess that there is a God. But we can never really know, and so why not just pick one arbitrarily or reject the whole lot? But what if there's more going on than that? I mean, the very fact that there are all those different religions tells me that mankind is inherently religious, but what if it's not a case of making a best guess? What if God is not a being who lives out there in the fog somewhere and the best we can do is speculate? What if the biblical story is true? That rather than leaving us to guess, someone has come to us out of that fog. God has stepped into history in the person of Jesus and revealed who he is to us directly. In which case it's not a case of one God less, but saying only one God has done that. Only one God is worthy of our belief and our dedication and our love and our worship, because he has taken the initiative and reached out to us. And that, my friends, is the God of the Bible.